A Renaissance man. As a kid, our school teacher used to encourage us to build a variety of hobbies. He used to say sometimes hobbies take you further than your studies and professions. Cultivate them. This is very counterintuitive when compared to common wisdom. Having varied and scattered interest in having varied and scattered interest had a bad report in pop culture. People who try out different things, maintain different hobbies, pick up new activities, and dabble with new domains are usually labeled as jack of all trades, master of none. It cannot be further from the truth. Many of the most impactful individuals, both contemporary and historical, have had a range of interests and hobbies. Rabindranath Tagore had reshaped Bengali literature and music, as well as Indian art with contextual modernism in the late 19th and the early 20th century. He was a poet, a writer, a music composer, and a painter. Interestingly, Tagore took up drawing and painting when he was in his 60s. Satyajit Ray, one of the greatest filmmakers of the 20th century, was a writer and an illustrator apart from being a director. Jagdish Chandra Bose, who pioneered the investigation of radio and microwave optics, was a biologist, physicist, botanist, and a science fiction writer. Isaac Asimov was a professor of biochemistry who was known for his work of science fiction. Charles Babbage, the father of computer, was a mathematician, philosopher, inventor, and a mechanical engineer. Ben Franklin was an author, publisher, printer, politician, scientist, and inventor. Marie Curie managed to win Nobel Prizes in two different fields, physics and chemistry, and is known for her work in radioactivity. Elon Musk is the man behind SpaceX, Tesla, the Boring Company, Neuralink, OpenAI, and many more ventures, and the father of all polymaths, Leonardo da Vinci. Areas of interest included invention, drawing, painting, sculpture, architecture, science, music, mathematics, engineering, literature, anatomy, geology, astronomy, botany, paleontology, and cartography. What's going on here? These famous people may be well known for one or two things, but they don't have the temperament of a specialist. They have a wide range of skills and knowledge that give them tremendous leverage in wigged domains, and all of them are successful players of the wigged domain called life. In wigged domain, we have to constantly deal with challenges we haven't faced before. We need to use all the wisdom in the world, but we miss out on a lot of useful wisdom if we are too narrow in our areas of interest. Therefore, having range is just not important, it's an absolute necessity in the wigged domain. Having breadth of training results in breadth of transfers as well. Transfer is our ability to take certain knowledge and skills from an area and apply them to a problem or situation we have never faced before. For example, COVID-19 is a problem before. No one has seen before, and hence one needs a broad array of skills and knowledge in terms of disease control, economics, logistics, healthcare, and mass psychology, PR, etc. to deal with the situation. And the government's gotta find a balance between keeping people healthy, keeping them sane, and also keep the economy running during the pandemic. It's an extremely big problem to solve, and unlike the questions asked in school exams, no one knows for sure if it's actually solvable. Your ability to solve a big problem is predicted by the variety of situations you have faced and the wide array of knowledge you have gained from that. As you experience more variety, you go on forming these broader mental models, which you can then build flexibly in new and unknown situations. Well, the first rule is that you can't really know anything if you just remember isolated facts and try and bang them back. If the facts don't hang together on a lattice work of theory, you don't have them in a usable form. You got to have a model in your head, and you have got to array your experience both vicarious and direct on this lattice work of model. You may have noticed students who just try to remember and pound back what is remembered. Well, they fail in school and in life. You have got to hang experience on the lattice work of model in your head. Charlie Munger. Okay. To increase your range of knowledge, you need practice. Real practice, not just theory. Simply reading and thinking about field doesn't give you the required knowledge. Reading about marketing is not equal to putting it in practice. You have to put in the work and then reflect on it. That's how you gain self knowledge. It's long and arduous, and there's no shortcut. While varied experience gives you an edge in big domains, it has interestingly been observed that kind domain experts often become more confident but not more accurate in their judgments and assessments as they accumulate more specialized knowledge. In fact, some actually get worse in terms of accuracy. How many of you have met that an obnoxious academic who uses either their position or their degree or their publication or a combination of all three to defend themselves? It's because they start looking at the world from a single lens. This is often not enough. For example, you can't just to look at the human body in terms of nutrition alone. Nutrition is important, but it's just one point of view to understand the human body. You have to study the human body from the point of view of exercise, sleep, psychology, endocrinology, neuroscience, and countless other domains to form a well-rounded idea about it. Otherwise, you will be like the doctor who blamed bad calories for every diseases. Take Elon Musk for example. Musk has combined an understanding of programming, engineering, physics, manufacturing, design, and business to create several multi-billionaire dollar companies in completely different fields. Steve Jobs combined design with hardware and software while building the first Macintosh computer. When we were designing the first Macintosh computer, it all came back to me, he said in his famous Stanford commencement speech. If I had never dropped in on that single course in college, the Mac would never had multiple typefaces or proportionally spaced fonts. Behavioral economics didn't exist before Daniel Kahneman combined the study of psychology and economics through this research. Similarly, people have studied biology and sociology for hundreds of years, but no one had ever studied them together and synthesized them into a new discipline until researcher E.O. Wilson pioneered the field of sociobiology in the 1970s. In range, David Epstein gives the example of Claude Shannon, who launched the information age thanks to a philosophy course he took to the University of Michigan. In it, he was exposed to the work of self-taught 19th century English logician George Boole, who assigned a value of 1 to true statement and 0 to false statement and showed that logic problem could be solved like math questions. It resulted in absolutely nothing of practical importance until 70 years after Boole passed away. When Shannon did a summer internship at AT&T Bell's Labs research facility, There he recognized that he could combine telephone calls, routing technology with Boole's logic system to encode and transmit any type of information electronically. It was a fundamental insight on which computers rely. It just happened that no one else was familiar with both those fields at the same time. Published several years as a monograph, Charles Darwin's theory of atoll formation marked his first significant contribution to science, and it has largely stood the test of time. Darwin had to think like a naturalist, a marine biologist, and a geologist all at once. He had to understand the life cycle of coral colonies and observe the tiny evidence of organic sculpture on the rock of the Keeling Islands. He had to think on the immense time scales of volcanic mountains rising and falling into the sea. To understand the idea in its full complexity required a kind of probing intelligence willing to think across those different disciplines and scales, writes Steve Johnson in Where Good Ideas Come From.